guys are all getting your drink on or whatever, inevitably it feels like there's some tension between two people in the group, right? Kristen has told us for years when she went to Vegas with a bunch of her friends, tears were flowing as one girl couldn't get into VIP or couldn't get into the club, right?
Well, no. What had happened was, and I love that you always go to this story, we went to Vegas for a bachelorette party with a group of girls, and my one friend asked me to go to the front to smoosh the bouncer so we could get in. And it worked, and we got in, and my other friend started crying at the bar because her feelings were hurt that the friend did not ask her to do it because she didn't think she was pretty enough.
That's
Oh my
God.
Wow.
So that was just a couple of nights in Vegas right there. So the question here is, how did Abby, with how many women went with you?
10 total, including me.
10
Strangers.
Strangers yet.
Except for Rebecca.
Yes.
All go to Europe together, not knowing a lot about each other at all. Yet there were no arguments. There was no crying over who wasn't perceived to be pretty enough. Nothing.
People thought I was crazy. They're like, what do you mean you're going to a foreign country with a bunch of girls you don't know? And you're just letting anybody go. Like, I didn't put parameters. I had people DMing me. They're like, I'm 50 years old. Can I come? And I was like, why not? And like, I'm here for a good time, y'all. And
Not a long time.
Not a long time. We're there for 5 days and then I'm out. But I remember before we left, we even did a segment where you guys were all taking bets on how many fights we were all going to get into. And I'm like, maybe one if we're a little sleep deprived. But I really had I had high expectations. I knew that this was probably going to work out for the best. And I knew it was all because of one specific reason. Now, I feel like every woman has a horror story from a girls' trip at some point. I feel like it's a rite of passage as a woman. We are very emotionally charged human beings. It's just a fact of life. It's what makes women great, but it's also our downfall.
It's a canon event.
It's a canon event.
For most women.
It is a canon event to have a girls' trip that scars you for life. It makes you never want to go on another girls' trip again.
And there was no tension on this trip at all. No word, no nothing.
No, and let me explain why. Because I think the downfall for a girls' trip, when you go with a bunch of people that you're really familiar with, is it is the lightning rod for any bit of resentment you have ever had for somebody in that friend group before.
The history comes on the trip with you.
The history does not stay at home. The alcohol is flowing. It's difficult to travel with people. You're going through things are going wrong. It's not always the most comfortable experience, which puts people on edge even more. And then all of a sudden you are 7 margaritas deep and you're bringing up something that happened a year and a half ago with your best friend. And normally this isn't going to come up, period. But there's something about the girls' trip that makes it come out. So now here's why I think going on a girls' trip with a bunch of strangers might actually be the GOAT, because I don't have any prior history with any of these girls. I don't know these people from Adam. We got dinner once, and that's it. We showed up to it's so funny. I was sitting on the plane, and I'm just like, one day I just decided to go to Ireland and ask a bunch of people to come with me. And here we are in Ireland, and you show up with a blank slate with all of these people, and you just get to start from square one. Everybody is on their best behavior because we know that we're here with a bunch of strangers in a foreign country. Nobody wants to be that person that gets in an argument with someone. So we're all minding our P's and Q's, and we all are here for the same reason, to just have a good time. And it ended up being one of the greatest weeks of my life.
It's a really, really great point here. I mean, it almost does sound like the perfect storm to not have conflict. Because in any relationship, romantic or not, or friendship, whatever, you really are in your best behavior in the very, very beginning. You're trying to create a good impression. And even though you went away for a couple of days, everybody is still on their best behavior. And to add to the perfect storm, you're also in a foreign country where most haven't been, and nobody wants to do anything that's going to get them in trouble with the local police or anything like that.
Yeah. And also literally. And also the thing with women is I feel like we all really wanted to look out for each other because we knew we were in such a vulnerable position, foreign country. We're all here kind of by ourselves with these girls that we kind of know. And so I think there was an extent of us feeling a sense of camaraderie because we're all Americans in this country and nobody else is like us. So honestly, it worked out for the best because I chose to go with a bunch of strangers. So I will see y'all next year.
And I do think you have to give yourself credit. The fact that you organized this and you oversaw the trip, and you should be a proud mama
for sure.
that all of this went off without a hitch.
You know what I was thinking also, and I agree with Kristen, and I'm always like trying to fight you on you not wanting to label yourself bold, because I consider you one of the boldest younger women that I know. Was there if I went on a trip like you did and organized it like this, I would be paralyzed by the thought of trying to make it great for everybody on that trip, and it would sacrifice my vacation. Was it that way for you at all?
I will say there was a little bit of that, especially leading up to it. I was really concerned with making sure that everyone felt included. And if I fell short in that area, I took it really, really hard. And I will say the first 2 days when everyone was kind of trying to find their footing, because there are some people that are really outgoing and wanted to stay out until 2 a.m., me. And there were some people that just preferred to have like a more chill night. And I felt a pressure to make sure that people didn't feel like they had to do one or the other, and that everyone felt comfortable doing both. But I will say, like, after the first couple days, once we all communicated that this trip gets to be what you want it to be, that pressure just lifted from my shoulders, and we just got to focus on drinking Guinness and dancing at bars.
So maybe that's the trick right there. Like before you take off, you just say, look, there are no real group activities. We have things to go to, but don't feel pressured at all.
Yes, like this is your trip. Do what you want to do. Just because I'm at a bar at 2 a.m. doesn't mean you got to be here. And I think that's a real credit to the women that chose to go on this trip too, that they had the maturity and the interpersonal skills to handle this kind of trip. So I also got to give applause to them too, because they're the greatest. They're so fun.
The Bert Show.